G'day, it's official. Cadillac has just announced that Valtteri Bottas will be one of their 2 drivers for their inaugural season next year. The likeable Finn has spent 2025 doing reserve driver duties at Mercedes, but he's been fighting hard in the background to get back on the grid, and now it's going to happen. US car giant Cadillac enters F1 in 2026, with 35-year-old Valtteri Bottas being confirmed today. It wasn't an easy drive though. He had some hurdles to jump through to land that seat, as the board initially wasn't convinced he was the best candidate. I spoke to Valtteri last month on the grid actually, and he said, yep, things are going well, but at the moment, nothing to confirm. Well, today there is plenty to confirm. He's had to sit out this year after Sauber cut him and Zhou Guanyu free at the end of 2024. Valtteri's managed by this man, Didier Cotton, and Didier has been working hard to get Valtteri back into a car for 26. Cadillac's team principal Graham Loudon was faced with the task of convincing the board, headed up by Dan Tauris, of Valtteri's value to the team. Valtteri is familiar with Graham from his time at Sauber, where he managed Valtteri's Sauber teammate Zhou Guanyu. So, what sort of money is Cadillac paying? I'll get to that shortly. But in the interim, a reminder that when you purchase things like my F1 photo books, calendars, and most of my wall art, global customs and duties are covered. Head to the shop at kimelman.com to see what's on offer. Cadillac love the fact that Valtteri is a seasoned professional, a proven race winner, having won 10 times with Mercedes, with his first win back in Russia in 2017 and his last in Turkey 2021. He's also claimed 20 pole positions and 58 podiums with the team. On top of that, he's good-natured, has a sharp sense of humour, and he shines when it comes to working with sponsors. One aspect of his personality that endears him to many is his humility. He doesn't take himself too seriously, which is a rare characteristic in an F1 driver. This reel had many in stitches.
Hey Valtteri?
Yeah.
That's a Cadillac. That's a nice seat.
Oh wow, that's actually a nice seat.
It's a great seat.
I wouldn't mind.
And there's 2 seats.
And they're both free.
Oh yeah. Wanna sit in it?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I talked to him about this and he said that wasn't planned. He and his photographer Paul Ripke just happened to be passing by, saw this car on the hotel driveway and took that opportunity to produce what I think is one of the funniest reels I've seen from an F1 driver in a long time. A few of us at the time thought that was pretty bold, but it obviously did him no harm because he's got the gig. I like that about Valtteri. He's not frightened to take the piss. Many Aussie bogans have taken him to heart for his love of the mullet. And I have no doubt that Valtteri will end up living in Australia with his pro cycling girlfriend Tiffany Cromwell once his racing days are done. So do we expect to see Valtteri on the podium in 2026? Highly unlikely. That's not Cadillac's focus. The initial focus will be to get a car to the track. And you might think, well, how hard is that? Well, it's darn hard. You're starting from scratch. The team will be relying on Valtteri to give them constant feedback and get the car to a point where it is indeed able to last an entire race. Performance? Well, that'll come later. And Valtteri will be acutely aware that, like at Sauber, he'll once again be pottering around at the back of the field for a goodly long time. But as he's acknowledged, the opportunity to drive for a start-up team where he has a real chance to make a difference because everyone's starting from zero is a pretty tasty opportunity. Those engineers and designers will be hanging on Valtteri's every word as they work tirelessly to get that car up to the point where it could indeed compete for points. But Cadillac will certainly have a driver who will gel with their US fans, or fans everywhere for that matter, a driver who'll give the team 100% commitment and be a super brand ambassador. Will he be the best driver on the 26 grid? No. But Cadillac was never going to attract the very best driver. Valtteri's taking a real punt on the US team to come up with a car that will make it at least to the track, last a full race, and eventually be competitive. But it wasn't like he had a lot of offers. In this sport, you take what you can get, and while he is 35, he still has some good years left in him, and if Cadillac are any good, who knows what's possible. And for those concerned that he'll have to serve this 5-place grid penalty he picked up in his final race with Sauber in Abu Dhabi 2024, that penalty only lasts a year. Let's talk money. For a start, only Valtteri's team and Cadillac will know exactly what he's getting paid. But when he was at Mercedes, he was believed to be on about 10 million US a year. The consensus amongst the number of F1 people that I spoke to suggests he's probably the same sort of range, 8 to 10 million, plus bonuses for points and podiums. That would put him in the midfield when it comes to driver salaries, but quite frankly I think Valtteri would have driven for not a great deal just to get back on the grid. It's certainly a better deal than being paid, I don't know, a couple of $1 million to be a reserve driver at Mercedes, where you're highly unlikely to get a run on a race day, and most of the time you're there doing sim work, corporate stuff, and just swanning around the paddock in a Mercedes shirt. And on top of that, he does have some business interests. He has his gin and wine collaborations. Cadillac's going to be an interesting team. Already, they're showing that they are serious. If you go back to the Barcelona race, Cadillac simulated the entire Spanish GP race weekend. They started on Thursday with a seat fitting in Charlotte. They had about 50 people working between the US and the UK on every session. They mirrored everything they'd normally do over a race weekend, from strategy meetings to reliability meetings. And when the cars were on track in Barcelona, they had someone sitting in the simulator running those sessions and simulated the race as well. What does that do for them? Well, that gives them a real feel for what a race weekend is like. They were able to test their software systems, but importantly, team members got used to hearing other team members' voices, so it wasn't completely new and alien when they got to Melbourne for the first race of 2026. What remains to be seen, though, is whether Mercedes will let Valtteri go immediately. Ideally, Valtteri will want to get up and running straight away, and whether that's at Cadillac Charlotte's headquarters or their operation at Silverstone, which is just a good wood and a 5-iron away from Aston Martin's, is unclear at the time of me recording this. Some questions though. Will his old trainer, Antti Ferrula, be back working with him again? Antti's Finnish, and the pair were together for more than a decade. He worked on Valtteri's mental and physical fitness and also handled some of Valtteri's commercial deals. They were a very good pairing. These were my first picks of Valtteri going back to 2017 at the Melbourne race. He certainly had much shorter hair back then. Valtteri also has a very nice collection of cars, including this AMG from Mercedes. So what Cadillac might Valtteri end up with? The most expensive is the Celestiq, and it's sold in small numbers in Europe. It's described as a high-end, ultra-luxury electric vehicle. Starting price? Around $340,000 US. And that makes it Cadillac's most expensive vehicle. One thing's for sure, we now know what's next for Valtteri Victor Bottas. I, for one, am thrilled that Valtteri's coming back to Formula One, and I do hope we get to see him in interesting outfits like this one that he wore to the Melbourne race in 2023. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate.